so much for coming and for asking to interview me. I wrote the first scene of this play 17 years ago. And so the fact that it's now being fully produced here in New York City by a group of amazing actors, many of whom are close friends of mine, and directed by a good friend of mine, is a dream come true. It really is unbelievably exciting and terrifying in a lot of ways, too.
How many iterations has it been through since Argentina?
Well, we actually went to Argentina just recently. Argentina was one of the last stops we had with this play. We've been workshopping it for about 2.5 years, having readings at the Public, through Labyrinth Theater Company, and then Rattlestick, which is this space, decided to produce it, and we've had readings with them. David Vanisilt, who's the artistic director here, has been really dramaturging the show, and so we've been doing a lot of readings with the Rattlestick. We must have had maybe 10 different readings and maybe 4 workshops of this play.
All around the country or strictly here in New York?
Pretty much here in New York, and we did go to Argentina and have a reading of it there.
How was that received there, especially the father?
Interesting, good question, because the father was the character that a lot of the men especially wanted to talk about the father. And it was very helpful to hear what they had to say. They were very possessive in a way of him, which I loved, because I think they felt that there was enough in him that they could relate to, that they wanted to make sure that he was portrayed not as any sort of a buffoon, that you don't write off what he's saying, because what he's talking about is a real thing. The dirty war really did happen, and going to Argentina and being in that country where people actually were disappeared, very nearby where people were actually tortured, was a very intense, grounding thing for me, and made me realize, this is not something to be taken lightly.
Okay. Is the tree part of the metaphor for Argentina? What once was strong, and the relationship with Ramon?
I remember when I was younger, I went to Argentina, and memory is a funny thing, but in my memory, the house that my aunt lived in, there was a tree growing into the house. And it was a little bit run down. The house was a little bit, they were having some money troubles. Argentina's always having recessions. And they were sort of, Argentines are incredibly resourceful, as are a lot of Latin Americans. They do so much with nothing, jerry rigging all this stuff to, make a heater or a fan out of like a paper clip and a match. And the house was a little run down, still beautiful, but I remember, in my memory, there was a tree that grew into that house, and that's where the tree came from, growing into this house.
Is there really a Ramon?
Oh, yeah, there really is. This is Florencia Lozano.
And this is Vanessa Aspillaga.
And this is for Bochinche.com.
Have you heard?
I have. You have?
You better hear it.